This app, Art of Comms, is going to take over the world. Why didn't I think of that before? You as a team have listened to all my thoughts and plans and ideas. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? This works, that doesn't work. I'm Steve Knight, and I am a former BBC and Discovery Channel journalist and presenter. And that evolved into, of course, hosting and presenting at business conferences and grilling the chief exec and the COOs, CFOs, etc., on the stage and making sure that the audience, their employees, their staff, their leadership teams got their questions answered openly and honestly and transparently. And then those clients started saying, can you coach us in what you do? And I said, don't be silly. I'm not a coach. I'm not a teacher. I'm a practitioner. And so no, but after a couple of years, I started to say yes. So I started coaching execs in companies, which was very successful and still is. And those execs were then saying to me, hey, Steve, can you go and approach the business schools where they teach the MBA? Because we're hiring MBAs and they're really bright people. They've got lots of ideas, but they really struggle to get their ideas across. And if you can do a version of your course in MBA business schools, it would be really helpful. And so I started calling up business course. I wanted to have people that came on the course in the MBA programs, that they could come on the course and we could hit the ground running. So I wanted to provide some course material for them to look at before they came to the Amphi. And so I teamed up with Apple in the UK with their education department for Europe. And they supported me in recording an hour's worth of video coaching and teaching in their head office in London. 10 years passed and I thought, oh, you know, I've aged quite well, but the video's a bit grainy and it looks a bit old school now. And I need to record it again, need to refresh it. So what we did was I recorded the video content in a studio in the Netherlands, and I did the original 1 hour, divided up into 10 chapters again. Then I added an extra hour of all the new material that I'd learned along the way in that decade and more. I initially went to a company that you guys know very well in Germany, and they did literally what I asked them. I want to have this video material and I want to have it in an app. That's it. So they did it, and it was great. And we're using it in the classroom at INSEAD and some of the other business schools in those early days. Well, about 4 years ago now. And I'm sitting there one day and we're working and I'm thinking, why am I just using this video content on a device, on a phone and an iPad, a tablet, when we could actually be recording participants, recording their presentations and their team presentations and their personal stories that they tell, and we can be giving feedback in the app. Why didn't I think of that before? We got it to a certain stage with the team that you know in Germany, and then they said, hey, we've got these guys in the Ukraine and we think they could help you take your app further, and what do you think? You as a team have listened to all my thoughts and plans and ideas, which keep coming, and the MBA participants at INSEAD often give me lots of feedback. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? This works, that doesn't work, all sorts of things. So we've been able to evolve it in this wonderful multinational environment, which is INSEAD, with me most of the time in Australia, sometimes in London, France, Singapore, you guys in Ukraine. And we're creating something which I believe is amazing, and it just keeps getting better. Russia invading your country. When that happened, of course, my initial thoughts were, oh my God, I hope the guys are okay. And I immediately contacted you all to check how you're doing. And then, of course, one of my fears was, well, how is this going to pan out? What if I suddenly don't hear from the guys anymore? What will I do with the app? And then I felt really guilty for thinking that. I'm thinking, what are you doing, Steve, talking about your flipping app when these guys are going through that? But I reached out to Roman and I said, look, this is a concern. And he said, absolutely, totally 100% get it. Here's all the files you need. Here's where you'll find them. And of course, it's your material, and here it is. So yeah, so that was then a concern, a business concern, that was alleviated and solved. And so if you might be thinking, Ukraine, are you serious? I would say absolutely. Everyone's thinking of going to Stormotion, you're going to have a very easy team to talk to communicate, to understand what you want to do. No doubt to tell you if you're barking up the wrong tree and you're going to waste your time and money. So they won't just take the job for the sake of it. They'll work with you, and I would say give it a go. Thoroughly recommend Stormotion, and I thank you guys for everything you have done thus far and everything that you will do going forwards, because this app, Art of Comms, is going to take over the world in a good way.